Hello and welcome to today's video on high altitude investing. In today's video, I'm going to be doing from start to finish technical analysis on Genesis Vision. So let's get right into this. Alright, so I'm on TradingView.com and this is the Genesis Vision dollar chart. This is the Binance Exchange live prices, and I'm just going to be starting off with a trend line. Current prices are at $23. This coin was added on the 11th, or let's see here. This coin was added on 11/16 of 2017, so it's a relatively new coin. It was added towards the end of the year last year. As you can see, it pumped when everything else pumped, and then has seen some corrections since. But it's really held its value pretty well during the correction compared to most coins. Most coins during the pump right here, towards the end of last year, have corrected significantly below the original point that they pumped from, right? And so this one's holding value very nicely, Genesis Vision is. It's got a very strong trend line, so I'll start by drawing that. Now, there's a couple ways to draw this trend line. I'll show you how I'm personally drawing this trend line. I'm giving it a little bit of leeway, and I'll show you why in a second, but I'm going to draw the trend line like this, okay? I'm going to let the trend line squeeze in itself a little bit, meaning that we have some points in the trend line where the prices are a little bit below the trend line, or just below the trend line right here, okay? So often you find with trend lines is sometimes you'll have false breakdowns or false breakouts. And the reason for that is just because there's a lot of volatility, especially with cryptocurrency. And so people will think that a trend line breaks and start to panic sell the very, very bottom of it. And really it's just getting wicked and needs to continuate on that trend line. And so that's why I drew my trend line like this. I consider this little breakdown right here as an oversold wick or a false breakdown in of the trend line. Some people may draw their trend line like this and not let that happen. But in my opinion, I'll show you why in just a second, this isn't correct and you need a little bit of leeway. There's a couple things pointing this out to me, so I'll just show you those right off the bat. Okay, let me just fix it to the way that I had it. All right, so the reason that I'm giving this coin a little bit of leeway on its trend line is because it bounced. So that means that yes, it did break below this trend line right here, but it bounced off of it. So it was a false breakdown. The other thing is we are currently oversold, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense to see another wave down. If the trend line was over here, like I had it before, where you don't let that false breakdown happen, seeing another wave down would be kind of strange with the amount of volume picking up right here. It's possible, but it would be kind of strange with the amount of volume and the oversold turning MACD. So we have a momentum shift in this area. So that's another thing pointing out that this trend line is valid, letting that false breakdown when you draw it. Okay, so let me just put that back like that. Again, you guys, cryptocurrency is volatile. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of leeway in your trend lines for false breakdowns. Okay, so let's get into some of the wave counting here for this first cycle. As you can see, this first pump right here that happened between really December of last year and January of this year. This is kind of the wave count that I'm doing for it. This looks like a very, very small 1, 2. Then we have a 3 and a 4 and a 5 wave, a very impulsive 5 wave. That's common in cryptocurrency to have a big 5 wave. And then we have a nice A, B, C correction. So the C went right down onto that trend line and bounced. Again, it was a bit of a false breakdown. That's common. Okay, let me just delete that. So prices rallied all the way up to 50, the exact peak was $55 and then fell to $7.09 in the period of about 3 months. So that was a 85% drop in market value. Again, that's also very common to see that type of downward movement due to the volatility in cryptocurrency. So let's look at the charting patterns over here on the right side since we've counted this first area up and kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So we're starting to make subwaves in the next bullish wave up. And to count these subwaves, we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, as you can see, that's a very nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 after the ABC. And then this is my current wave count. If support fails right here at this trend line at around $21, I will have an alternative count that I'll show you in just 1 second. But this is my current wave count. So we have an A and a B up here, and then a C leg down. So we've already done the first Elliott, which means this is in a very good area to be interested in buying because we've landed next down to the C and the trend line. So we're very oversold. We're turning on the MACD. We have sufficient volume to see continuation. Let me just increase the color of my volume here for you guys so you can see it nice and clear. Just make maybe a deep blue line. Okay. So as you can see, this volume is starting to increase. We're starting to pick up in volume again. And it's very nice to see that as you land onto trend lines, to see an increase in volume. That means that the trend line is likely to be valid still. It's not likely to break through that trend line. And so I think that we will see a bounce right here. I think that we will either touch this trend line one more time at about $20 or bounce in at or around current prices because of the oversold movement, which means we're about to make a 3-wave, and 3 waves are very, very impulsive by nature. And, you know, generally you want to target a 1-to-1. So just take this, and so your first target is in at or around previous all-time highs at $50 or around $63 in that area. So if we do see another wave up, it will look something like this. 1, 2, 3 up to previous resistance, and then 4 and a 5 like that up to major previous resistance. So let me just take this horizontal line and draw a major resistance zone here, put the 5-wave on top of that, and then put the 3-wave on top of this major resistance zone here. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so this is what I'm expecting to see over the next couple weeks here as we go into April with Genesis Vision, is a nice hard bounce off this trend line and continuation up to previous highs. So let's just take this and we will make a little TradingView chart, a private chart, so that when you guys watch this video later, you can click in the description and see how accurate I was and see if it was a good prediction or a bad prediction. You can kind of go from there. So let's just take this and publish. Okay, and we're just going to do GVT from start to finish, TA, and then 327, 7 of 18. It's always good to date your TA. So primary prediction. Okay, and we want to go long, wave analysis, GVT, and then I'm going to publish this. These are privately published, but you guys can click in the description of this YouTube video and check out this chart. And then basically we can take this and we can do a little update below this to add our alternative prediction to this. Because like I said, there is another way to look at this. And so let me just go into the alternative predictions. Let's just remove all drawing tools. Now, if we treat this trend line as a little bit more of a hard trend line, and if we do see another lower low in Bitcoin, which is the market leader, so if the market leader sees another low, this one is likely to as well, in which case the alternative count and the alternative prediction would be this. So again, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is an ABC. So that's all the same there. And this is again the same here. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the difference is that if this isn't the bottom, if we don't see a bounce off this oversold zone like I'm expecting to, this could potentially be a bearish flag. And we could see another lower low like this, an A and a B and a C back to the lowest trend line. That would put us at about $14. That would be about a 786 retracement of this wave set. So we started the new wave set after the ABC. So this would be, yeah, at and around the 786 retracement, which is also common. So this is another possibility for Genesis Vision. Now, my primary prediction is that we do see a bounce off current prices, like I said, due to the oversold nature of the MACD. The MACD is oversold in this area and starting to cross on the histogram. And then also the amount of volume in this area, and the fact that I suspect Bitcoin to bounce up, which is the market leader. So that's kind of how I see this. Now, of course, if it goes this low, this would still allow us to have a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 up to our targets. So either way, we still hit our target. Even if we go for another lower low, it's likely to hit that target. Okay, delete that. And let's just get our horizontal lines again. Horizontal ray here, here, and then now we'll just do the lowest form of support, which would be right here. Okay, so that's just adding the support and resistance zones and areas to our TA here. It's always good to be aware of both possibilities, you guys, whether you're going for another low or see continuation, because then you have a spot that you can set your stop loss and then not have to hold through another low. Or if you're thinking big picture like I usually do, you can average into panic. And then if you do go in for another lower low, you just buy a little bit more. You know, so that's just kind of how you play that. Be aware of both predictions. TA isn't a here, this is the only way it can go game. It's a hey, this is our possibilities. Let's make plans for all of them so that we can profit off whatever actually happens. So, you know, it can go both ways in both directions. So let me just take this and we will write alternative count. Okay. And this is basically just the alternative outcome for Genesis Vision. So let's just take this and then we'll press the screenshot button, copy this, go over to our previous prediction and add it below. And just do alt prediction. Perfect. So now we have the alternative prediction as well, so that we're aware of both outcomes. That way you can set your stop losses right here at the bottom of this bear flag. So I would set it at the previous low at about $20. And then that way if you do go in for that next low, you don't get screwed on the 45% drop down to the next trend line, right? You can just buy that trend line when it goes there. So that's how you make plans for both outcomes, and that's why you always have alternative predictions and counts. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you have a coin that you want me to do technical analysis on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and the top voted coin I will do TA on next Tuesday. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, and as always, stay profitable out there.